What's up, Nexians? Maximus here again. Now I'm going to give you guys the answers to the question I hear a lot, and that is, what do I do after I hit level 50? Well, the great thing about MMOs is it's sort of a choose your own adventure sort of game. So there's really not anything that says you need to do this, you need to do that. You get to pick what type of fun you want to have, and then depending on what type of fun suits you most, there's all types of sorts of things that you can do in that area of fun that you have selected. So I'm going to give you guys a few, good to know, points of interest and stuff like that. And depending on your play style and what it is that you think you want to do first, you guys can start visiting some of these areas and doing some of these things. So once you've hit level 50, good place to make note of if you guys are Dominion is Conqueror's Square. Okay? And if you guys are exiles in Thade, they will have a similar area here, but basically I would just ask somewhere in zone chat, where is the contract board? Because this is the thing that you probably want to find. That's the thing I would suggest looking for. This unlocks at level 50. This is the contract board. Now, how these work is tier 1 contracts. You can take as many of these and you can do these like daily quests, repeatable daily quests over and over again as many times as you want, and you'll get 50 points towards your contract bar for each one that you do, and you'll get a little bag reward for some glory and some gold as well. Tier 2 contracts you can only do once per day, but you'll get more points for them. You'll get 150 points for turning in each one of these contracts towards your bar. Tier 3, again, only once a day, but this is the highest. You get 450 points towards your contract bar for completing this. Now, from this contract bar, from this board here, you can get gear upgrades. How about that, huh? That's why it's good to check this out at level 50. So you can start here at 68 blue stuff, and then it'll go up to item level 80. This is like dungeon level quality gear, and that's a dungeon level quality weapon right there on the contract board, and I would just have to fill the bar up to that bar right there, and then I could take that reward right there if I needed that for a weapon. If I was a brand new level 50, or if I wanted support, I could take that. If you already have these gear items and you don't need them anymore, you can even take a rune bag. Now once you get all the way to the top, this box up here will give you a piece of item level 100 superb gear of either assault or support, but it will be a random piece. So it is possible to get doubles. You're not going to know what you're getting before you take it, but to a new level 50, pretty much anything I think from this case would be a solid upgrade. And the first 3 or 4 boxes from this, you should be getting pretty much solid upgrades from these things. So you can take these gear rewards here, and then once you've gotten all your gear upgraded and nothing from this contract bar can help you out anymore, your gear's already better than all of it, then you can take these Protostar Contrary Obligated Settlements. These will give you companions, pets, mounts, flair, and stuff like that. Cool cosmetic things, but then eventually, once you've taken all the rewards from this, it'll give you a voucher for 50 Elder Gems and an IOU that is a piece of paper that vendors to a vendor for 5 plat. So that's an extra 5 plat on top of the 2.5 plat that you get for filling up the bar, giving you about 7.5 plat for filling up this contract bar every single time once your gear is higher than, say, item level 100. So that's an incentive to gear up. You'll actually start making more money from this contract bar. There's PvE contracts, and I have videos here of walkthroughs of all the tier 1 locations. These tier 2 locations, these tier 2 contracts are pretty self-explanatory. It tells you where to go, and you pretty much just have to kill anything in those areas, or do the stuff to complete them. It's pretty self-explanatory, and you shouldn't have to be looking around for it. But these tier 1 ones can be a little more complicated. These mobs, you might have to look for them, or you might not know where they are, so I have a video showing you guys all the locations for that. I'll leave that below. There's also PvP contracts here, right, for doing battlegrounds. PvP stuff, the guys looking to get into the PvP area. Tier 1 contracts, Tier 2 contracts, Tier 3 contract. It's the same deal. These are repeatable, once per day, once per day. Filling up this bar, it's the same sort of thing. This will give you item level 65 PvP gear, these rewards here, and I wouldn't recommend taking these because your actual PvP gear is going to be item level 70, and it's going to be like this. It's going to be divine quality, and it's going to be better than these things can ever give you. And you're going to be getting enhancers, enhancing up your gear. So I wouldn't recommend taking these. If you filled this bar all the way up, take that on the PvP one. and start grabbing your rewards and start getting, this counts same like the other one, and you'll start getting your IOU rewards and your Elder Gems from getting these. Okay, but you'll also get prestige from opening up these contract bags here, and more superb rune fragments for ruining up your gear. So this is the contract board. So this will give you all kinds of quests that you can use. That's good to make note of. Now we also got all of these other NPCs here. So these here are adventures. If you press N, you'll bring up your content finder, and we've got different types of instances that we can do here. So these are expeditions. These are 1 to 5 man instances that will scale to however many players are in them. And then you've got adventures, which I'm in front of right here. These are 5 man instances, but they're not as hard as a dungeon. Okay, they're harder than an expedition, but not as hard as a dungeon. And you can queue for these basically by hitting, first available veteran one, or you can do some of these early normal ones. You can check that, and then be sure to check your role, and then hit join fight, or join a party, form a group, and then you can queue as a group. You don't need a full group to queue like that. You can have 2 or 3 guys, but you need a full party to actually get in. And then you've got dungeons here as well. So these guys here will give you quests every single day for an adventure, over here for a dungeon, okay, and then over here for an expedition, and then over here for a battleground. Right here for a battleground. So those are your daily quest givers for those types of instances. And if you hit the PvP tab over here, then you can, look at that, you can queue for battlegrounds. Or war plots, which we haven't been able to get going very often other than the weekends because they require 60 people, 30 versus 30, but these can also be done sometimes on weekends. Arenas actually queue pretty fast. You can usually just grab a buddy and you can do practice arenas in 2, 3, or 5s, or you can do rated ones in 2s, 3s, or 5s. And those actually go really, really fast and are a very good way to get rune fragments, because the matches last really fast and you get the bag rewards afterwards, and that's where you can get your runes from. So we've made note of all those areas, and then you're also going to want to look for this weekly bonus board. So we've got one here. There's several of these located all over the capital city, but this is the closest one that I'm here. And every single week you're going to get a weekly quest for Elder Gem for PvE and for PvP for these gladiator marks, and these are done by doing arena matches. Arena matches and 3v3s, you'll get these gladiator marks here, and you can take the gladiator marks and you can go over to the PvP seasonal costumes. Okay, so you can get some of these costumes. These only take prestige, but there is another one that requires these gladiator tokens, and he has certain types of PvP skins, and I can't seem to locate him. There's the gear, Slayer's gear, Terminator's gear, here it is. This is the Terminator's gear. It's in the PvP seasonal gear, and it's at the very bottom, so you'll see this here just requires, these are just skins really. So if you preview these items, hit shift, right click, you can preview what these items will look on you. This is basically like the season arena PvP skins. So that's what that weekly questing thing is for. You can get gladiator marks, and it requires a certain amount of prestige and a gladiator's mark, and you can get the skins. I guess 1 a week, right? Until you have the entire set. But completing the PvE one will give you Elder Gems. Completing the PvP one will give you that gladiator's mark for those skins there. And you can only do those once a week, and I'd recommend grabbing them on Wednesdays, on reset day. Another thing to make note of here, Elder Gem Vendor. Now that you're level 50, you see down here you can start getting Elder Gems. So for just completing stuff, just filling up your XP bar like you would normally for leveling up, you're going to start getting Elder Gems. And over here from the Elder Gem Vendor, there should be a few of these guys located around the capital city. Things I would make note of, in the general goods, you've got inventory bags. Alright, I grabbed this one here, the Elden Coin Pouch. This is the only 17 slot bag that I have really found or been able to equip. And pretty much all of my other bags have been 16 slot bags like this null space container, and there's several other ones. You can only have one of each of these type of bags. You'll notice that these things are unique. They are unique equipped. So you can only have one. Alright, and then you've got these amp power upgrades. You guys can get these to finish powering up your skill and amps if you haven't got all of them yet. There's also dye bags. Some people really like, dyes. They're extremely popular. I got my lava dye from my stalker and several other dyes from getting some of these bags here. Also, very important, your action sets. So when you'll start with 2 action sets, right? And these are these are your presets that you can set for your action bar and your amps. And you'll notice too, if I want to respec my skills, right? It costs money, right? To respec my amp skills. So the point of having the extra action bars is so that you can have more presets, so that you don't have to keep fiddling with your skills and stuff like that, costing you all kinds of money. It's basically just a quick flip from, say, PvE to dungeons to PvP to whatever, right? To tanking, right? So you've got different presets and different skill bars set up for all of that stuff, and you can have up to 4. Okay, so I would recommend checking those out. Early on, you're not going to have too much types of gear, right? You might only have like your DPS or your support gear, but as you start getting, PvE gear, PvP gear, start taking on more types of roles, you'll actually have a demand for needing some of these action sets, and that's where you can get them. And they've also got some cool mounts and flare and stuff like that here. And useful things also here, they've added in rune crafting. Eventually, once you've got your action sets and you've got your points and you've got your inventory bags and all that stuff and everything. I don't even get dye bags anymore. I used to get dye bags before they had this rune crafting thing in here. Now I pretty much just get either one of these pure or divine rune bags with my elder gems, and hopefully get some decent raid stones out of them. But again, it's a few extra it's a few extra bags that I can get every week with my elder gems. And if you have more than one character, you can get elder gems on them too, and it's the same deal. Another thing that you can maybe remember is if you fill up your elder gem bar all the way, you get 100% experience on this. Then doing daily quests and doing other quests like that further on will give you a higher gold reward once you've capped out on your experience. As sort of a reward for not being able to get elder gems, you're just rewarded with extra gold for completing quests and stuff as well. Okay, so these are things that you can make note of and try and absorb now that you're a level 50. I know I'm throwing a whole lot at you right at once here. This is a special event that's going on right now, but these guys won't always be here, so sometimes there will be an in-game event, and usually they plop them down somewhere in and around this area will be the vendors and NPCs for these things. But you can usually check your map, and sometimes if it's a special area, it'll be located and highlighted on the map as well. So we've got all this stuff here, and now I'm going to venture on just a little bit out over here, and I'm going to go over to the mount vendor. Now most people I think should hopefully already have at least a basic mount at this point. So these are the rentals that almost everyone starts with, and then you can buy basic mounts here, right? You have to be level 15 to purchase a ground mount. But these are cheap 10 gold mounts that you can get. This one costs a lot of renown. Okay, and then also you will be able to buy from these guys, if you haven't yet, a riding license. And you'll be able to upgrade your riding speed to 35% more with an expert riding license. So if you want to check your riding license, in the bottom left here you can bring up this panel, and then you can go to non-combat abilities and then miscellaneous, and it will show you here your riding license. So you start off with a normal riding license, you can go to advanced with 15% more, and then you can get the last one here, this expert riding license. But this expert riding license costs 80 plat, and to a new player that is a king's ransom. So if you can save up enough plat to get an expert riding license, good on you. But what I did with my first character, with this stalker here, since that was a king's ransom and I just didn't want to pay that, even if I had it, I got my riding license here from the store. in the unlocks here, an expert riding license is only 395 omnibits. And, you know, after just a couple of weeks of playing, I was able to get up enough omnibits. I've got enough, I can get several riding licenses now, right? Every single week, a signature player will get 360 bonus omnibits. So you can get a riding license that's worth 80 plat right there, this riding license. And even better, this you can send to any character at any level. If you made an alt, you could give it to them at level 1, and you could have expert riding license right from the get-go. There's no level requirement on this one, whereas the one you buy from this vendor here, you need to be level 50 before you can actually buy the 50 upgrade for 80 plat. So expert riding licenses, increasing your mount speed. Okay, there's also hoverboards here as well, and I would actually recommend, if you're going to get any kind of mount, to get a hoverboard rather than, say, a ground mount, because with hoverboards, they don't disappear when you go over water. This hoverboard Flux here is a good starter board. It's nice and cheap. And yeah, when you go over water, they won't disappear on you. And it might seem like a little thing, but as you play more and go to more zones, it'll start to irritate you more and more that your mount disappears when you try to go over just like a tiny little pond, or you need to get across a lake and you can't. Right? So hoverboards are really the mounts of choice. So we've got the mount vendor there. Alright, so now I'm going to take you guys over here to the crafter's circle. So the mount vendor guy is just right up over here. The mount imports vendor. And now I'm going to head just a little bit over here to... That's the entrance to the housing area. You guys should hopefully have houses already. This here is the crafter's area. So this is where you guys can go into these houses. All these houses have rune crafting stations in them to make your runes. If you guys are going to be making runes, stations are in there. There's also crafting stations for the trade stuffs. Over here we've got the rune exchanger. If you guys have some of these rune crafting tokens, you can exchange them for stuff there. But the rune fragment converter also here will convert some rune fragments for you. So if you want to take low-level runes and convert them up to higher-level runes, you can do that here. And right over here, this is the harvest trader. And this guy will exchange certain types of herbs for other types of herbs, because some of this stuff is extremely hard to find or has really bad drop rates out in the world. And if you would like to exchange some, you know, very easily common found stuff for some harder to find stuff, or just trade it in for whatever this is, then you can totally do that. And that's just farm materials, survivalist materials from my trade skill, whatever trade skill you've chosen. So this guy's a survivalist, he gets the wood. I can always, you know, trade my wood. I can always take this type of wood, trade it in for this, trade it in for that, trade it in for primal hardwood. So it takes, you know, 10 augmented wood gives me 1 primal hardwood. It's a 10-to-1 ratio, but you can always trade up. You can't trade down, but you can always trade up from the harvest trader. If you guys start doing trades, there is the trade man here, and you can pick, you know, a trade skill and a gathering skill, and everybody can take cooking as well. Later on, once you guys have maxed out your trade, and you've gotten all that expert all the way up, and you're now a master craftsman, then you're gonna have to do crafting dailies from the crafting board, probably out in Grimvault. Once you've got your vouchers from doing those crafting dailies, this lady here will give you the designs that you need for weaponsmithing schematics, armorsmith schematics, outfitter schematics, all the schematics, even the technologist ones, for making all of your advanced types of designs once you've progressed further on past expert into master trading. So you're gonna have to do your crafting dailies, get your vouchers, trade your vouchers in for designs. And this is how you will learn your new and awesome trade skills in the Master for Genetic and Datascape lines. So we've got some points of interest here, and if you guys get lost, maybe I could have mentioned this a little bit earlier. Sometimes there's nobody around and you're looking for, you know, how to get to some place. I tell this to almost every new player. The guards, guys. The guards. The guards here have all of these, you know, points of interest programmed into them. Almost every MMO has a system like this, the dummy guards, right? So if I want to know how to get to Malgrave, how to get to any of these places, the guard, click Northern Wastes, and he'll give me a nav point pointing me. It's right over there. The shuttle is right over there, right? If I want to get to the bank, the auction house, cred services, to the any of this, to the Elder Gem merchant, you can click that, and he will point you to an Elder Gem merchant. Okay, so check out the guards. Don't be afraid to use them. Alright, they'll show you where just about almost everything is in this entire place. So we've got all that stuff there, and the auction house commodities vendor we've made important. So now, alright, so now we've made those points of interest. So now it's like, what do you want to do? PvE or PvP? If you want to do some PvE, I would recommend queuing up for a dungeon or an expedition. And while you're queued for a dungeon or an expedition, you can start doing daily quests around the different zones. And you can start with some of the easier ones in Northern Wastes, Starcom Basin, Crimson Badlands, Blighthaven, the Defiled. Those are some of the easier zones to start off with, just to get your footing, just to get some practice with some level 50 skills and everything now that you have that stuff. But the best gear that you're going to be able to get PvE gear-wise is going to be out here in Arctera. Out in Arctera, there is item level 85 to 90-ish gear that you're going to be able to get. So 80 to 90 gear that you'll be able to get PvE-wise. And it will drop off of mobs, and you'll be able to form up with groups of trains of people running around killing bosses, and you'll be able to gear up really fast out here in Arctera. You can also get Soulfrost out here in Arctera. Soulfrost is like the currency of Arctera, and they have Soulfrost vendors here. You can run around with your buddies killing stuff, and then you can get assault gear. You can trade in your Soulfrost for, look at this, item level 85 assault gear, 85 support gear. They've got weapons, shields, implants, gadgets, stuff for everything. So this is where you can get your PvE gear in open world while you're queued for instances. If the instances are taking a while, this is still another place that you can get your gear. Alright, now if you want to queue for PvP, if you want to get right into the nitty-gritty PvP, then all you have to do is press N, PvP, battlegrounds or arenas or like that, hit and queue. And also make sure to take your PvP contracts, remember. So the contract board here, I've set a key. You actually have to go to the board to take your quests and turn them in, but you can check them from wherever you are. You can check the board. So take your quests, make sure you have them, queue up, and here, whether you're starting out in PvE or in PvP, this seasonal gear vendor here has gear that you can buy, item level 65 PvP gear. To a new level 50, this is probably going to be your best gear to start with. If you can afford to buy this stuff, this will likely all be upgrades for you. And even though it's PvP gear against PvE mobs, this is really the best you got. Okay, so you can get some gear out in Arctera, but this will also be what you'll be using until you get Prestige and Battlegrounds, to unlock the next tier, which is the Infiltrator's gear, and this here takes Prestige to get, and it's item level 70, and it starts out as blue. So you get your gear here, and then as you've gotten your gear, there is enhancers, and these cost more prestige. You will also get these from the bags that you get from completing Battlegrounds, and you can use these to augment and level up your gear to superb and then divine quality, which is the highest quality, orange. With your gear here, I would recommend, if you're taking the PvP route, once you get this gear, if I buy this gear here and I preview the items here, it's going to have certain types, it's going to have 3 runes, it's going to have 2 rune slots to start with, but I will be able to add a 3rd rune slot with a certain amount of gold. I'll have to pay either gold or service tokens. I would recommend adding the extra slot to your gear while it's in this blue quality state, because once you upgrade it with enhancers to purple or divine, it's going to cost you more gold to add the extra slot. Likewise, it's also going to cost you more gold for every rune slot that you want to re-roll in order to put your rune slots into your gear. how to rune gear, I have another video for that as well. And I'll leave a link for that, I guess, if you guys want to check that out. But you're going to be wanting to get your gear runed up once you've got it, and adding the extra rune slot, here now. And if I wanted to re-roll these rune slots, it would cost more once it's a high level quality. So do it sooner than later. Okay, so now you're level 50. You want to know what to do. Those are some of your options out in the world. PvP battlegrounds, arenas, war plots, instances. All right, it's a huge world out there. You can start working on trades right away. You can teleport to your plot, start decorating. It's a choose your own adventure sort of guide. If you're looking for more tips and assistance, you can always leave a comment in the videos, and I will answer online on my YouTube channel if I can, or come catch me at my stream. Even check around in your zone chats, trade chats, advice chats, and stuff like that. There's lots of people out there that are very knowledgeable about this game as well, and they might be able to give you some tips of where to go and what to do as well. And look for guilds. Okay, if there's anything else that you guys are interested to know after just hitting level 50, shoot me a message and I'll answer all your questions, okay? Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Like and subscribe, share them with your friends, and I'll get more videos coming to you tomorrow.